But too funny, man. I can't. It's a lot happening, man. There's a lot happening. I'm gonna get because you brought up you brought up Mayor Adams. So we from New York City, man. What's up, y'all? It's the Manuscript again. Here with my cousin. I'll let you introduce yourself because you know what I mean. Just for this conversation.
Who is me? Do we use aliases here? My
Yeah,
name
you
is
can.
I'm Nips.
There you
I
go.
am here to just provide my lovely, lovely views.
Yeah, man, and I think Nips, we've had plenty of conversations, and I think Nips have some stuff that we perhaps for today, and for maybe in the future, I think provides a key perspective, and that's of fatherhood. Rob and I in the manuscript that's talking about issues with men. We obviously talked about news that involved fathers, and so to have one on is always great, because that is what we've been missing so far. So it's always good to have. But yeah, man, we just keep it simple here. We just been shooting the shit as always. And we already got some. This conversation today was really be about connection, and relationships, and so. But we started off talking about the our relationship in a way to New York City because we don't know what the hell's going on in New York City these days. Don't know what's going on. Yo, Nips, did you see? Well, before that, how are you feeling, man? I'm gonna ask, yeah, because we do that too. We check in, we say how we're feeling, and usually you used to look at a feeling wheel, but I'm sure you know the feelings on a feeling chart. So, how would you say you're feeling today?
I'm I'm feeling pretty good today, I would say. I haven't had a bad day at all. There was nothing that went wrong. Everything went exactly how it was supposed to go. The spring peak that we had here in New York was very nice.
Yeah, that's true. That's
It
true.
was also helpful
That's true.
for the day.
Hmm.
A little annoyed with the getting used to the daylight savings thing, but
Hmm.
every what you do, what you got to do. Put air on my bike, a little bit of air on my tires. So
It's nice, relatively check in. And we just got into about New York City and the situation with the NYPD cop that was in the music video. He got caught, and then it became like a big deal in New York City. So, but not much after that. That was like the
Oh, I
most.
didn't know that.
Yeah, man, that was happened over the week. I don't know. I came across that story like yeah, I think it was like on Thursday or something. It was interesting. Um, but
That's wild.
yeah,
it was an NYPD, I don't know, detective or
yeah,
son that
detective. I
was
think it was detective.
she looked pretty attractive or something, attractive enough to like be invited to be a a pole dancer at
At the
a
cookout.
The
at
way
a
you
meet.
the way you
Uh,
describe it, she's like she's good enough to be invited.
Well, I didn't obviously someone said
Yeah,
someone was like, "Hey, you want to be the dancer in my video?" I mean, you,
you're more than welcome.
good enough for it, and now they're giving her mad.
Yeah, she's catching super flack for it, man.
So
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's word of about her potentially getting
she didn't have
fired.
anything revealing that she was in NYPD in the video.
No,
So
no, no, no. Did
like
not
that
identify herself. That was yeah,
that was like the biggest thing. Like somebody snitched on her
pretty
because
much.
they were jealous.
Pretty much.
mm,
I mean, unfortunately, people were saying that the song
damn.
fucking sucked. So,
Oh, but listen, all of this stuff that I said because I ain't saying nothing about the rapper. I was like,
right?
up
Because
to you, my. If you're trying to be in that type of video with that type of
yeah,
rapper, I'm not gonna,
right,
but
right.
I got,
I heard,
I don't think I was a type. If I was a lady, I would probably be like, nah, you good, player.
bro. The song is very. I don't even know how to explain it. It's not something I would bump. So you know,
Trap, I assume. Is it?
2000s hip hop artists. You know what I'm saying? My boy trying to recreate that New York 2000s flow.
Yeah. Basically,
Uh,
talking about how much he hates drill and how
like Leangelo?
real rap got to come back
Yeah. All right. That. Hey, up. Yep. The real rap got to come back. Type of raps. Yep.
and decides to give us a boom bap beat. So, like,
It's very interesting. Very interesting. I think the whole story, man. But yeah, it's New York City, man. That's what's been happening this week. That was actually, in a funny way, one of my highlights because I'm like, it's just one of the bizarre news, aside from like the really sad stuff. Just bizarre stuff like that. It's like, why is this even news? Sometimes, unless y'all got more bizarre news, but
Oh,
nothing more
yeah.
bizarre than what's been happening with the planes, of
I'm
course.
nigga. Did you just hear? Did you? Before this, I was just scrolling on TikTok and I got like so sad. Like again, understanding like why there's this stigma against men. There was a 26-year-old that boyfriend or ex-boyfriend who picked up his girl and like left her on the side of the road in a red suitcase.
that was,
Um,
that was in Yonkers.
Yeah, cause no, he was
bro,
46, bro. 26-year-old girl. The boyfriend was 46. They were 20 years
46.
apart.
he
Yeah.
was 26.
She was 20. He was 46.
Yeah.
He is
Yeah,
46.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's 46.
Oh,
There was a 20-year
shit.
age gap. Yeah, yeah.
There, there is a lot of
Yeah, man.
there's a lot of facets to this thing that's truly to me truly amazing. And I don't the approach is very interesting. I have so many thoughts right on like on the side of women and the side of men when it comes to dealing with particular things that we as men have collectively been displaying, not individually but collectively.
Yeah.
Because like this weekend, I was at the brewery, and this lady, she was talking about her date, and then we get into it because first of all, it was her, and it was three guys in the car. She was Dominican, and we were like, immediately, what race is he? Like she was gonna go on a date or something like that, and we like she didn't go or something. Oh, what race is he? And then she goes, and then we looked at each other. Like, oh, we know, because we're already on some like women are so hurt. The women of color are so hurt that more than likely the answer to that question is white guy. Like 80% of the time, just because of the damage that black men of color, whatever, have done. Not to say for whatever reason, but that's what they're saying.
I'm saying, wait, did you guess the race before she even described the date?
Yeah, no, we guessed it.
Oh, because she described the date. Gotcha.
No, she said no, she didn't describe it. We didn't let her answer. We looked and me and Lou looked at each other. We were like, but she's right. And so then, Lou, she was, she felt she did feel like, whatever. But then Lou tried to explain it to her, like, which is okay. He was saying, like, I understand why women will go that route. Most those men, they're probably educated. They tend to be. They probably have some organized financial organization when it comes to money. They probably don't have, as much drama, right? And so then I was like, yeah, I get all that, but that's not helping our own people. Like that is not helping the issues of Dominican men. The only people that can help a Dominican man, to my personal opinion, to its best capacity, ideally, not that it's only, but ideally to the most capacity, would be a Dominican woman, right? Like, I'm not saying that a black woman can't help a Dominican man, but a Dominican woman understands a Dominican man more because of the culture and stuff like that. All I'm trying to say is that what are Dominican women supposed to do, right, with men that are just they've tried, they keep going, and they keep getting hurt. And then what are the Dominican men who are legitimately trying, right? And what are they supposed to do when they're being shunned because of the generalization that comes with the impact of all the other men? That's why I say this is a very interesting, complex, complicated. Because I cannot.
I'm smiling because I'm like, I'll just stay single.
I can't blame each side. I can't blame either side. I can't blame a Dominican woman that decides to go with a white man because she's tired of Dominican men and their stuff and their behaviors and their customs and how stuck they are with their moms or whatever it is that they say. Because this is not me saying I can't. But then I can't also, be upset Dominican man that is like trying his best and gets confronted with folks that might not know what to do because you're at a different spot than other men. Like it's really not good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're also, because and think about how much of a mind fuck that gotta be for, like, because what I'm thinking about now, even like the layers of it, right? Like, as Dominican men, we don't even make up majority of the population here in the United States yet. If we're thinking about men, right? It's still mostly white men over Dominican men. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but who's shooting up the schools? Mm-hmm. I just read a story the other day of a white guy who, because he was mad at his wife, killed their 3 kids in front of her. Mm-hmm. And he was white. Like, when we, like, all our serial killers, they're white. So it's like, you fear me, you know what I'm saying? Because Dominican men are cheaters. But you'll go with Jeffrey Dahmer over here. Like, right? Like, we're really comparing generalizations, mm-hmm. right? So, like, if we're going to compare generalizations, then you're going to date a serial killer versus a nigga that can't keep his dick in his pants.
You have the potential to date a serial killer more than you have the potential, on the white side and on the other side. When you date this side, you're going to have the potential of dealing with this man and his penis versus him serial killing people or whatever.
Yeah, tying your whole family up and driving them over the bridge. Like, what we talking about here, So I think for me, that's what I thought about as you were saying. I was like, wow, it's interesting conversation. Well, before I give my thoughts, how did y'all end up? How did y'all end the conversation though? So like, was she offended that you guessed the race?
No, I
Like,
think
because then
we
sometimes it gets tricky, you know.
no, I think we essentially ended the conversation. I definitely was explaining to her some of the stuff that I explained with the complexity of everything and how
Yeah,
we're just
yeah.
contributing. Because I also even shared that, like, my girlfriend is black. So, like, I'm saying all this stuff, and I'm not even. But then I also said I contributed my Dominican, whatever. My daughter's 15. She's 100% Dominican.
Guess my Dominican checklist is complete.
I,
Leave me alone, okay? I tried, okay?
try my best.
I have 100% Dominican daughter. You can't say that to me.
Still there.
Retired.
I'm raising her. Like, we
He
still
retired, right.
we still get to contribute to the cause. Like, we still here. But
That's funny.
but one of the things that she said, when I told her that, she was like, "Oh, I can see that coming from you, because like she didn't generalize me bad, but she didn't generalize me as Dominican. She's basically said I'm American."
Yeah. Got you. Yeah.
She was like, I can see that coming from someone like you or something like that. And I basically just ended the conversation. It got like kind of like rudely interrupted by, basically saying that, we all just got to try our very best and just try to be, understanding of what everybody goes through at the end of the day, but I just don't think that any of us, like, I'm also doing something that I'm saying that needs to.
No, but I think there's something to be said about like black people in general collecting. I do think there's a difference between like, I still American white culture necessarily, and then like, what we're sort of discussing, or like when we get together, right? Like,
yeah.
Because I've also seen situations where like a Dominican woman is like, I'm not gonna date no Dominican man, but they'll date a Jamaican man, and it's like we still Caribbean.
Which is normally the
or big, like, I'll date like whatever, I don't know name.
I've never understood this. They generalize Dominican man, but they put in West Indian men things. Like, I'm like, which you're explaining a lot of men from a lot of areas.
So, like, well, because that does tie us, right? I guess Caribbean culture, and that's so expansive too. So,
yeah. But even going into like Central American culture, like you're saying things that are not only exclusive to us. If it's our Mexicans or whatever not doing that, I don't know. I've seen Laura and of supporting women, that there hasn't been enough resources to build on how to support themselves, right? Because there's just not enough time or money to give everything to everyone. And so that's what I'm saying is like one of the potential unintended consequences of like, what has been going on with the women's movement. And it's really our fault as men, because we didn't build the system to hold, right, these boys into place and to continue to help. We are trying to build that system, even now, currently, more the past 5 to 6 years. And yeah, sure, we can move to a place where that thing grows, but that's our fault for not coming together and talking to our young boys and building places and spaces that they can positively engage with, right? So then that way, when the focus did switch over to the women, they still had something to like navigate to and gravitate to. I don't think we did that. That's kind of on us.
I hear you. So you really think that it's not possible to focus on everyone at the same time?
I would like to think so. I would like to believe. I truly think that that's what needs to happen. I just never seen an example where it did happen to let me think that it's actually doable in any situation, like in any for any culture, for any like even white people will argue in this country that certain white people have certain privileges than others. going against some of that stuff. Like we're gonna sit here and say, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Sure, but they're gonna have their struggle to talk about that we cannot. Like Italians are gonna say they were treated like shit. But again, it's to the point that not everybody could come along for the ride type of situation. And also with particular movements that you see in like government initiatives and how they'll put a lot of money for, let's say, STEM education, but they're only going to do that for 10 years. You know, they're eventually in the other 10 years, they're going to pull money from that and give it to some other problem that education might have, like raising literacy scores or math scores. Now you can't support the resources for STEM education. Now you got to put it over there. Now STEM education on its own because of the pooled resources. Do I think there's enough money that resources shouldn't get pooled? Absolutely.
Yeah. And I
But
think
that
that's where it becomes tricky in
unfortunately, the
America.
reality is that they do pull it, and the impact is that some
Something
things,
suffers as a
yes,
result.
it suffers after something like that.
Yeah, because our budgeting has been like, as I gotten older, it seems like, we function from like a scarcity mentality. Like we only have but so much, and instead of looking at it from like a place of abundance, and where how can every bucket get filled with some water, right? How can everyone's bucket get, everyone get a drink at least, you know? Um,
And now it's not even enough like that you got water. It's like, oh, that's Aquafina. Oh, you don't got Fiji.
But
Oh, but you can have Fiji,
I
but
mean,
wait,
we
that's
should
smart
get we
water.
should
You
get
know,
Fiji shit.
but
I
you
mean,
got
I think there's enough money that we should all get Fiji water.
pay
Uh,
attention
no, but
to
you should get the other one, the one with the minerals in it. Oh, but what kind of minerals?
ever since I would say ever since I would probably say I don't even know. I could be wrong, but if I recall correctly, ever since President Obama was in office, he created the movement that people today are utilizing against us to do exactly what you both are talking about, which is DEI, right? The diversity,
mm,
equity, and inclusion aspect is basically saying that where you have money and you're okay, these people don't have money. We need to give them money so they can be okay. And they're probably going to get more or whatever than you. And that that has recently been used to be weaponized, taken away literal words from resources and funding for those things that you just mentioned can actually occur. So like
yeah,
it's very
it's
interesting in this space of in this entity,
and
geographic entity that we live in, because we know what we need to do, but for some reason somehow it's been turned against us and weaponized so it could be like a curse. Because if it's like cursing at them, if you say, yeah, that's why we need more DEI, they're gonna go crazy. Their head is literally gonna explode. They're gonna say, oh my god, how dare you? When
yeah,
we're like, yo, bro, none the stuff that we're saying it because it was never corrected. It was never
never corrected.
corrected. It
Yeah,
was never
exactly.
from the beginning put in a
Playing
fair
field. Yeah,
place. That is what that thing is saying to do. And we literally everybody was not everybody, but a lot of people were
a
like,
lot of people.
nah, it can go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But that's what worries me about. I think folks are not paying attention enough. Right. I do. I want to echo that. Like, with all these things that we know, even what the women's rights movement was originally about to what it got co-opted and then became like every other movement. Right. The Black Panthers were sanitized at some point,
Mhm.
or just erased. Malcolm X's legacy was sanitized. Everything that's radical kind of becomes sanitized so that it doesn't become what it used to be. And so I do agree that in some aspect, like with like certain people who claim to be feminist and then using that for their own personal gain to get money and then bash
Mhm,
on men with no
mhm,
real solution on how to solve this problem, but
mhm,
it's just to call men trash and to say
mhm,
men are this and men are that under the
mhm,
guise of feminism because right, I think that was a problem, but that became so that became a moneymaker, the loudest feminist you could be that you bash on men, you can make a lot of money off of that.
yeah,
So, I think it's like it sucks that society and those that are in power know how to kind of play games to continue to divide us. As soon as there's a movement that could unite us, we have to be very careful that there's going to be an extra movement to divide us. So again, I would say that to your point of like, that's why as men, there is for sure. I agree. There's stuff we could have done to prevent like the oncoming ripple effects of what the women's rights movement brought. Like to be more prepared to like now let's unify. You got your movement,
Yes.
that's
Yep.
great, right? And
Yep.
then I think those that are interested in keeping us divided made sure that like it became a battle of words, right?
Hmm.
You're a feminist, oh, a feminazi now, and you're a misogynist, and everybody okay. Now there's all these words, and now we screaming at each other words and terms and identifiers without getting to the root of the problem, right? Which we're all just really trying to be happy, right? We all want to be fed, clothed, man, woman, trans, like right. We're humans, right? And there's certain things that we need as humans to survive and just keep some peace. But it becomes about these
Hmm.
words and what we want and like what this side wants and what this side wants and what this side is asking for and this side is and now we're divided. You know what I mean? Again, even going back to your original conversation, right? It could have got worse if people really. So what do you mean? I can't. I shouldn't date this. Oh, me and dating a white man. What's going on? Like, and you start getting into name calling and like
Hmm.
what that is. Because nobody can get to the root of the problem, right? We use these terms that kind of trick us. Um, which, with that being said, I do want to get to one of the questions though, of tonight in terms of reconnecting, because with all of this BS stuff and like society, and we're thankfully we're men that made it well into our adulthood, right? Because from where we're from, right, that's sometimes not even guaranteed. So we're privileged from now to have this wisdom, I would say, to kind of have some hindsight from our own childhood, see how things changed and shifted, or maybe not changed so much. So with all the bullshit and stuff like, and everything we know about society and how it affects us, like, do you have y'all felt that because of the way society's moving, it has made it harder for you, or perhaps easier, to connect with people, and especially as men, right? Because what we were talking about in the beginning is that, and have been talking about, is trying to move men to a place where vulnerability is normalized, right? And I still think we're getting there. I still think some men are still like, moving along slowly, but I think we could all get there and just make it normal because we're fucking human and we're allowed to be vulnerable. Let's just make that normal.
Yeah.
And for a long time, it wasn't. So, like things like that, like, do y'all feel? Yeah, how do you think about that question? Do you think that in some aspect society, with what's been going on, with the changes, with this whole like movement of like, men are trash and or women are this, right? That it has impacted sort of how you move and how you are able to like connect with people.
Yeah, for me, it, it's got. I don't know if like I feel like COVID. You can't not take COVID into account because like I wasn't connecting with people because of COVID as well, you know. And then on top of that, as news just got worse and worse and worse, you know, then you come back and you don't know what people have gone through. So I always try to be mindful of that. Um, but it has gotten to a place where even recently, bro, I know logically it doesn't make sense because I know myself, know my actions, and I know that I what I've done, but I've found it like unpleasing is the I guess like the best word I could say, like, because I'm trying to be great, have grace and shit, so I don't want to use such judgmental words, like, because it really does bother me. But when I try to think of the other person, it's just an unpleasant vibe when I've had a couple moments where people have felt threatened by my presence. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had to, you know what I'm saying, like prove right who I am or to people or something like that because of just what I physically appear like, you know. Um, or sometimes I wonder if it's just what I physically appear like, or it's just what they experience, and then you just can't get past me being a man, you know, because that's been, there's just been so nuanced, you know what I'm saying. The most recent thing that I've experienced, someone did express that they felt threatened by my presence. It was an interesting thing where I was on stage, um, and I was acting. I was supposed to be acting, but I had acted for a while, so it was pretty cool because I just was myself. You know what I'm saying? I was supposed to be playing a character who had to express their anxiety, and they're gonna go to therapy. And the previous actor did it the wrong way, or like the situation blew up. So it was like, come in and express how you would handle it in the best way capable. I had a conversation where afterward my energy apparently made the person uncomfortable, and it was never communicated until afterward, where it was like come almost gossiped about. You feel me? But it was beautiful on God that it was like a safe space where I saw communication happening. You know what I'm saying? Afterward, but it just made me realize just how sticky that could have gone had it been not with the right people. Where I was the one judged, and on God, you know what I'm saying, people were having experiences where they were able to communicate with each other. There was trust, where like, oh, I'm gonna tell you, no, that's, I hear your experience, but that's not my experience with him. But that's okay. And then I had, seen, I had been in the area a second time, and the person thought that I like communicated. Like then I saw him the second time in the area, and I thought that he was like stalking me. And I'm like, the fuck? Like that's you see how it got heightened. You don't even know me and experience me, but it can get that intense, man. So it's like a weird time, bro. Where I'm like, even me, nigga, I'm like, oh, I didn't know how to feel. I was like, I know I'm removed from the situation. Like I know how to feel about me, but like, oh damn, like that still didn't feel good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we want the person to know, like, oh, if you ever see me again, like, love is safe. Like, but it's not even about me. It's about you. Like, and I'm like, but damn, like, if you didn't feel safe, and I like to fancy myself as a person, like, bro, I've helped people I don't even know, strangers, in situations that I
Like you
thought
see
that
yourself
had
as a
gone
safe
heightened.
person, you know. Like, yeah, like I'm a safe
Yeah,
person.
and I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, but if that happened to me, like it was kind of like it fucked with me, because I'm like, how do I even get a safe space? Because I can't tell you to put your guard down, because I do know some men out here ain't shit, and it is dangerous. And look at the news. I'm looking at the news. I'm like, so it's like I just gotta take it on, as a man, you take it on the chin. But I'm like, but that's not that. I've got to be honest. Like when I'm like talking to my spirit, I'm like, but that's taxing. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw a baby on the train the other day, and the baby was it was giving the mom a hard time. It was just the mom, hard time, bro, hard time, like wilding, going around, and walking around, bro. Why this one man goes, yo, get your baby. Get your baby. Why you got your baby walking around here? You're not even grabbing it, touching other strangers and shit, stepping on my sneakers. Get your baby. And then she was like, he wants to sit there. I don't care if he wants to sit there. Grab your baby, hold him down, and make him sit over there. And I had my headphones on, but I stopped the music and I was listening. I was like, oh shit,
it's about to get crazy. Yo, fucking New York
like
trains, man.
I was hoping it don't get crazy,
Get
but
your
I'm like, but
baby.
damn, no,
I gotta laugh
but this
sometimes.
is like again, it was a interesting thing that I was trying to like give, like it was about freedom of speech almost in a sense, right? And trying to look at men, like I was even trying to say he's not dangerous, he's expressing himself, he's upset,
Mm,
but he's not dangerous,
mm,
he's expressing himself, he's doing
mm,
something a lot of us will want to do, but we're not doing it. He's expressing himself. Yes, he's angry, he's not dangerous. I was trying to tell myself that,
mm.
like I'm prepared, let's see, I could protect, he's not dangerous. But it's true, he felt hostile. It was true, like everybody, but you know what I'm saying? It was a weird thing, and I'm like, damn, like they thought this woman, like that baby was wilding, man, wilding, man, wow. And it was just an interesting moment that I'm like watching myself witness, where I'm like, how
And still
many of
trying to
us? I was
reflect.
probably that fucking wild ass kid at 3, 4.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, a lot of us as men, like, you don't like to you don't remember yourself as some fucking lunatic baby that's like, no, that baby was wild, and then now you're just like, and now you're happy, and then looking at you like you don't remember. You know how many of us remember ourselves emotionally out of
Never.
control? As men, usually you got
Probably
to
as an
keep that
adult.
shit in control. And it's even right.
Yeah.
Even now though, I can't be upset at what happened to me because I got to think about her emotions and what happened to her. It's true. I got to get my emotions in. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't feel like I could be upset. Y'all be honest. Having people have my back and express their experience for me made me uncomfortable because I was like, I don't want to be the center of this. Like, even though this is supposed to be good, like it makes me
Yeah. Like, why does it even have to
like I
happen?
just felt weak.
Mm.
Like why? Like yeah, why am I the center of this? Like please, like you know what I'm saying? I felt guilty, and I'm like, oh, like it was just again like, and then bro, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? This is the rare thing, right? Like I think we're rare guys, but we want more. So it's just like, how do I even share this story? You feel me? Because sometimes I'll get mad at the motherfuckers who you see. Cause look, right here at this thing at the screen you got, I don't know if the people are seeing it, but Dochi's right there, right? There where it says Dochi is Billboard's Woman of the Year, and love to her, man. Recently, she's been like getting a lot of backlash because of a comment that she said that it was a little moment between her and her friend. What is your biggest red flag in dating? And it was straight men. And I feel like that's not it was interesting. I didn't take it personally, you know what I'm saying? But I did ask myself why were we brought up if you're, you know, I think lesbian in a relationship. I was like, why are straight men brought up? Right, but I think she is as a girlfriend. I think she's like off with men, right? She's done with men. So it's like, why bring up straight men if you're in a relationship? We're talking about your preferences in dating.
Well,
but damn, man, that's my train of thought.
I don't know, bro.
Right, Felix.
I don't know, bro. I think I've said stuff earlier that will hopefully help me out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think rightfully so, straight men, in no matter what category, have been taken advantage of their status in society for the longest of times. That it is and I understand where, like, you know, because straight men and I'm straight and you're straight, whatever, and you feel because of that, but at the same time, we've been the problem. Straight men have been the problem collectively. We are individuals here who are intellect, and we're like-minded, and we know that we have to grow as men.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away from the fact that we have also acted to the advantage of being a straight man.
For sure.
In across our time, that we have learned from it and we have grown from it, and that we decide to not do that. But bro, we have there are a lot of, I always felt weird about, like, you know, courting women. If you pay attention to that simple example right there, is really about what a man wants to do. I am not going to say that what a man wants to do is going to be done negatively, but the man will be the one to kind of dictate a little bit as to, is this a relationship or not? Is woman going to grab in bed? You in a relationship with me? Yes. Me and you are an item that is usually left to be chosen by a straight man in the straight whatever. So, like, not that I feel, yes, negatively, some not super about, you know, when people say that stuff, but also at the same freaking time, what the freak, bro? We all collectively have to be accountable to all the misdeeds that we're trying to improve.
Yeah.
And we know ourselves that we have contributed to that. I have contributed to that. I have cheated on ladies before.
Yeah.
They will say that. I cannot deny that I cheat now, that I've learned, obviously. But that in itself, the action in itself contributed to the fact that straight men are the problem. And so, and also that till the moment of today, the movement of trying to empower women more and make straight men more accountable still needs some catching up to do.
Yeah.
So then we can fight those said statements. So we can say like, nah, not no more.
Yeah, exactly.
Like whatever that may have been
10 years ago, whatever the case
years
may be.
ago,
Yeah.
but not no more. Like there's nothing that's being done to fight that statement, like in a way that I think it is helpful to all of us, straight men collectively, not just particular sets of men, like white, black, or whatever. So
yeah, I would agree with that, and I would hope that like whatever as we talked like Doechii would mean, I hope she wasn't just saying it because again it's gonna get a rise out of people, because I know that there are women that say that to get a like celebrities people with money to gain. They know it's like rage baiting, so if I say these things, because again it's been the like hot word to say over the past few years to kind of like this heterosexual men, when really is a critique on how we've been, how we move. So I'm okay with women critiquing the behaviors, because I've been doing that, right? I talk about the man box for years, so I've done that. So a woman saying a straight man, like, you're not gonna tell me, like, I'm not gonna get offended because I've been talking about, I agree. Like a lot of the things we learned, the toxic stuff we should do away with, and that is a red flag. I mean, we were talking earlier, right? Like how we have to like now make up for whatever sins that all general like men in our cultures have, right? Like, so we agree that we know that's a reality. Like we have to deal with that, but we also can understand why. And so that's why like this kind of conversations amongst men is important. Even to be open, like from asking questions to trying to get it, because I do think what's missing is that Doechii puts out a statement like that and then it's just fed to the wolves, right? But no one's, so you got a 14-year-old boy looking at her comment, 15-year-old boy, and he might be raging about it, like, oh, who the hell was this bitch? You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Like, and who's hopefully the role model that will tell like, hey, like I feel you, and let's talk about what's underneath what she did say, so that you don't get offended, and instead direct that energy towards like, okay, where you could direct that energy instead of being angry is just how do you just work on yourself. As if you're a heterosexual dude, like how are you currently working on your behavior so that you are not contributing to those things that are being said about heterosexual men. Like take that energy there, like walk with that.
That's the thing that will distance the pain.
Yeah.
I know that for me, I understand what she's saying, but I know personally I'm not connected to that. Felix Nips does not move in that way. And on the contrary, right? If somebody is on the street and they want to, do one of those mic interviews, they might be surprised with what I might say, you know what I'm saying? Which is just contradictory to what she said. But me specifically, I know like she'll be like, oh no, he's fine. But straight men are like are definitely an issue. And the only way to do away with a statement like that is by the self-fulfilling things that you want, positive things. You want to be respectful to yourself, to people that support you, that people that care about you. That means something. That's not just you saying it and then you run away from it because you're complicated on an emotion. Somebody made you feel some type of way. Now you ran away from your values or whatever. So like it's like I said, it's not easy. It's freaking complicated because some of the stuff we have to accept. We kind of don't, but a lot of stuff we kind of just do, and that's what makes some of us just a bit better, because we are not running away from the conversation. I'm not going to sit here and then start talking about how women are shit because somebody said that straight men are shit. I'm not going to do that. That is corny and that is stupid. That is not contributing to anything. Like, fine, sure, I will contribute to your statement. Fine, I'll try to make you happy to talk about that, and it's not going to be in a similar fashion that you're probably used to having it. So,
yeah, it's about being equipped, man. I think equipped to be ready to have that conversation, because back to, I was thinking about the privilege point you made, Nips, and like, yeah, I think one of the privileges I think some we do have as men, is that as heterosexual men is that like, right, part of our growing up and our socializing is that, we're the lone wolf, we're the man on our own. So, for somebody who can't handle these type of conversations, they could just isolate themselves, and
Mhm.
no one will blink an eye because men kind of do that. That's what men do. They isolate themselves. They're the lone wolf. They're like the man in the cabin somewhere, like, right,
Mhm.
like, so then they get to do that, and then that's our privilege because nobody bothers us. Nobody checks in on us. Nobody still tries to call us in to then call us out if we
Yeah.
do our own thing. So that's one of the ways I do think that men have been privileged. And then also because we can go our whole lives without having to make other type of friends, and no one will ever judge us for it, right? A man can have nothing but male friends, and no one will ever say anything, But let a woman just have male friends, everyone's gonna question, well, what the fuck, why you don't have no women friends? Well, you know what I'm saying? Everybody already trying. What's going on with you that you don't got no women friends? Like, there's something wrong with you, But we could go our whole lives just having dudes as friends, and we're close to it, and no one's gonna say that that's a problem. But I've always championed that again, and again, we're three. We're into sometimes lucky, but not really because we also put an effort into the relationships we have developed. I think us three with people who are not just men, people who also are not just women. I think people who identify in all in between, right, of all genders. I think we've allowed ourselves to make those relationships. So I do think there's a part which we did to change that narrative that men don't do that. But I do think that I know for me, having relationships with other people is what expanded my thinking, is what allowed me to even move away from this narrow perspective, is what allowed me to even like hear a statement like, well, how, men are trash, which is a very popular hashtag, and then not get offended by it because already talking to folks who are really impacted by the behaviors of men and seeing how, right, like seeing their perspective, learning it, right, so that allows me to kind of like, okay, I could take this with me and feel for it, and then this I could just take it and throw away because this doesn't apply and it does not help it. So but again, I think for most of us, we do defend ourselves, and especially now. Let me tell you, I have conversations sometimes I've had with young men, and even when I try to bring up like the contradictions and still the way these contradictory messages we get as men, like between like be a family man, be a provider, but then like be violent, and then like be violent towards each other, be hyper competitive, and like as soon as I try to even have these conversations now, I also notice that there's a hesitation to even talk about these things because as soon as you start mentioning how men are aggressive, it's like we're bad. So I notice that young men like kind of want to shy away and they don't want to name it because then they think that I'm going to take the conversation to say like men are bad, and it's like, nah, man, I'm just trying to talk about what is, and we could talk about the stuff later, but let's just talk about what
You
is,
know,
no
I
right or
wanna, I
wrong,
wanna,
no
I
bad or
wanna
good,
tap in real quick
yeah,
on what you just said
yeah,
because you're talking about what age group again?
teenagers. So I'm thinking teenagers when I've had this conversation more recently,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, love. I figured that. I just wanted to ask again for the
yeah,
public too, if they don't know. Like, so it makes me think of like that was a very interesting developmental when I reflected on my time. A very interesting time for me to develop, and my parents were going through their own thing. Like, and a lot of people like that's just a big moment in their life. Some people are losing parents. Right, I happen to still have mine. Luckily enough, they were divorcing, so I did feel like growing up alone. But I just said all that to just say, like, I, I do wonder if there it's not a like when they're hearing you if they're triggered because see even me now trying to reconnect with my family, it wasn't a coincidence to me that when I'm going through personal things, I started seeing this. I started seeing like the way that my interactions with my parents in those present moments, like how my response was stemming from connection I had or lack thereof before that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was becoming a trigger that I was like, oh shit, I'm dealing with this with the original woman that I can't get this like this connection. I can't verbalize this right. I can't express myself with. It's my mother. Oh shit. You know what I mean? So like I wonder if that whole thing of like hearing you correct them and then thinking that it's bad can stem from that original connection that they have where it's like us as parents, you know what I'm saying, looking at our children and how do we treat when they make mistakes, right? This this journey towards a purpose, some success, right? No failure, perfection, right? How do you treat yourself when you do fail? Because when when we hear men are responsible for this, let me speak for myself. When I hear men are responsible for this, I can understand, but I don't feel responsible. So it doesn't feel it. That's what I mean by like it still harps on my soul to ever have to like defend myself. You know what I mean? When I know it's not about myself. You know what I
Well,
mean? So it's like, and then how do you know what I mean? I know it's not about me, right? When I think about what I've even just went through, somebody had a traumatic experience in my mind before me, so I represented that. It's just about how I'm just wondering, even for those kids, you know what I mean? Like they can't hear bad, like because then they feel like they're the problem. So then how do they get past it if you know what I'm saying? If we don't even have a space to even
People started
be
using hotel.
emotional and be accepting of it. You know what I'm saying? If a man gets, you know what I mean? I feel like there's too much even for me right now.
I know how to say the word
Sometimes I'm
hotel.
trying to
So
correct
I'm
myself
like,
and say the right thing, being vulnerable. Because if I'm too vulnerable and I'm emotional, will I be forgiven if I say something incorrect? You know what I mean? And it's like, damn, like there's no real space for forgiveness for men. Like you got to get it right, or else it's like red flag.
there's
You know what I
no
mean? And that's
there's no. It was funny. This is literally. I mean, this is literally going back to the unintended consequences,
Yeah.
right?
mm-hmm.
Um, Al's question of like making connections overall ever since I would say COVID or whatever. I do have to be more cautious across the board with like what I say and how I say it across the board. It's not that, and so it's not that like there's only a specific time that I have to be cautious. Even in times of specific and especially in times of vulnerability, I have to be extremely cautious of what I choose and how I choose to kind of say it. One thing though that and I'm pretty sure we all know this, things that we cannot control. We can't we are for some individuals it will be difficult to try to navigate when finding yourself and being labeled as something that you might not even know if you are or aren't. Fine. But for some of us, we have to move into a space where mentally we know that we cannot control nothing. Like we want to have the idea of control, but we can't control anything. And living in that space to me has been helpful. I cannot control how someone perceives me. I cannot control if I try my best to say the words that I need to say to positively communicate these complex emotions that I have. I cannot control how the other person takes it. I can't. I will go crazy trying to do so. I will go crazy trying to find the particular word that the other person needs to hear so they could be accepting of me in its full without having any clarifying questions. That is something that I am refusing to do. I will have consideration with what I am saying. I will put thought behind what I'm saying. I will, but that's as far as it goes to my contribution to this, to demonstrate how serious I am taking this. Because let me tell you what, when I am angry, when I am upset, I'm putting consideration to anything. The words are coming out, they're just like AK-47. And so that's the only thing I can do. Like, and the only thing, and I guess for the younger population, the foundation is where it's at. And the foundation is practice what you preach.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. That's the super duper foundation for them. How do you want to live? That's how you move. Legit. It is not going to work for you every single day, but most of the time as you move up the ladder, those are that foundation that I don't do that is the thing that's going to create the distance of the generalization. Because at some point, there's nothing you can do or some other people say. Absolutely not. I have done everything that I can do to try to make sure that I am representing this individual that I do want to represent, right? I am about to be 40 years old. I did not just start, right, doing this, acting seriously or whatever. There's years behind it.
Yeah.
There's years behind it. And so once you let those years catch up, now you can sit here and say, that's too bad for you. I'm sorry you feel that way. And it's not to like dismiss anybody and what they're whatever. I just know I cannot. I'm sorry. I really am sorry that you feel that way. It's not like trying to like be passive, like whatever the word is here. I'm legit. I'm sorry that that's how you feel and how whatever you went through gave you this generalization of how all men are. Right, like that. I do feel sorry for folks that like that. And I just think that at some point,
I think empathy is something that men need to keep in mind when in these moments. I had to keep that in mind. The minute that it happened to me, I was like, all right, well,
exactly,
it's
exactly.
unfortunate that people can't reciprocate empathy towards you, but this is the thing that I hear you that this is what we should carry because of the history of men that we have to carry empathy as a shield. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Like,
Well, first is even learning it and adjusting to it, because how long have we been
sure.
trying to survive without empathy? You know what I mean? Like, because again, our whole upbringing as men tells us to not be empathetic towards people. That's where the whole, chill with your emotions, try not to be so emotional about things. But, and there's this famous, therapist who talks about it, Brene Brown. She may
Brene
sound familiar.
Brown.
Yeah, she talks about, right, like, and others have talked about
Mm-hmm.
the consequences of suppressing your emotions, that you stop feeling it. So if you suppress empathy for so long, right, and that's what I see with some young men now, they take everything as a joke, everything's a meme, right? So you suppress empathy and you don't allow yourself to feel for other people, you might lose that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You might not be able to empathize much in your older years, and then that's something you kind of have to develop. And then how hard is that, right? When you're like a 25-year-old man, 20 or 35-year-old man, and it's like you kind of haven't had no empathy all your life, and now you're trying to work on being, empathetic towards people. So, uh, and I do think that will come with human connections, though, because I do, right. We teach each other, right. We lead by example. So obviously, I do believe for all of us, no matter what age, if we surround ourselves, bless you, and we're able to be given the opportunity to just see a different lifestyle and socialize differently, I think it can happen. I think because again, we're human, and I do, in my heart, I do believe that our innate human abilities, wants will always come out, and there's always in us. Um, but yeah, that's the troubling part. But gentlemen, I know it is past 10, and
Yeah,
I
to
try
those.
to keep it to not past 10. But my fault, Rob. I didn't want to cut you off, but I do want to just acknowledge that it is 10. I don't want to
No,
push us
you're
too
good.
far late. But I mean, do you have a point? And then we try to wrap up.
Yeah, I got a button just giving it to those all those the men of different ages, man, because of what I had just experienced. I had a support behind me, just reminding me that I didn't do anything. Because being like trying to be helpful, I asked myself like, all right, I understand I didn't do anything wrong. I understand. Like, it's not about what I did. It's like what can I do? Because I don't I just felt uncomfortable that this person felt that about me. Like, and they don't have to feel that. But that even to that extent, don't that's too much overthinking. That's what I do. You feel me? So I wanted to button it for those out there of all ages, just to remind yourself that if you find yourself in a place where you're being judged or you are the trigger to somebody, like hold empathy and what I mean, remind yourself of know your actions, reflect, take that moment to reflect on your actions. I'm not saying you didn't do anything, right? Let that be a discussion whether or not you did. Understand that you can make a different decision if given the
Always,
chance.
for
But like
sure.
what I'm saying, like have grace with yourself and others. You know?
Yeah.
That's the word, man. I
Yeah.
like that, man. Having grace, because I do think that's something that I wish. I know. There's been times I struggle with giving grace to myself for choices I made, didn't make. I do think that that's something that I do see men not doing either. I think men are mostly hard on themselves, a lot, and and we do carry a lot of weight on our shoulders. So I will say to men out there, right, like give. If you haven't, man, just give yourself more grace for whatever choices you made, didn't make. Like you forgot something, right? Something you're like,
And
ah, shit, or something,
accept what comes to you.
right?
And be like women,
Because
man.
sometimes I couldn't accept the
And
grace,
really
but
love
the
women.
grace.
Actually, let me say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, right.
You gotta really
No,
love women,
like
man. Don't just say you love women.
no, be like I said, be like women, because women really, really know how to let things go. They're very
Do they?
well. They know how. Like
On
they,
the next
Is
episode,
that the next episode?
I
Do
know
they?
that. Like I feel like because they are always having someone that they can speak to, that it's easier for them to process emotion.
Okay, well, I
Because
can see that.
we don't, because we choose to bottle things up. We're talking about it 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks
3
from
weeks,
now.
yeah, a year.
Until you was able to catch your homie at whatever link up bar thing, that's until you had that there. I'm just saying that women, the minute it happens, 2 hours later, they're on the phone with their friend, and hopefully they got good friends. That's the only.
You know,
Hopefully they got friends that can like continue going through the emotions. And that's what I mean by letting go, because that's what you got to do. You have to go through the emotions. The bottling up of the emotions is not going to do anything helpful. It's going to keep you more. It's going to make you overthink. It's going to make you anxiety. It's going to make you make even worse decisions because you're like not trusting yourself or having other things. This is going to run
loving yourself.
this huge thing.
mm-hmm.
I am guilty of that as a man. I do that. If I don't like find it, let it go, speak on it, whatever, it's just harder and it lives there. And then I'm having arguments about something that happened 2 weeks ago. Why are we still arguing about this? And you know, that's what I was referring to. And I was saying being like be like women here, meaning they have their support. They have their folks that they can talk to, no matter how silly it is.
When they use it.
Right? Like you like if you ever know and you have a conversation, you know, with your lady, sometimes you sit here like it's not to them, that's what they do. You're like, I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. You know, something happened at work with some colleague, with something, you're like, man, what's going on? You're having the popcorn or whatever, just to have them, you know, vent to you, whatever.
Yeah.
That's helpful for them. We don't do that. I don't vent about my neighbor in my office desk about how he took my cable wire and how dare he.
Yeah, I just try to forget that shit.
I don't do that. I do like, how's your day? Good. Fine.
Yeah, we chilling. Even meanwhile, you fucking stresses.
Man, you just stole my double-sided tape.
Yeah. Double-sided tape. Yeah, yo, double-sided tape is hard to find in the office, bro. Let me tell you.
You ask your girl how her day was, bro.
Okay.
He is telling you about Slack messages and the emoji that they left, and how can that, like, how dare they leave that emoji or something? You're like, oh man, you know all the details about that. They don't know nothing. They just know I went and I came back home.
Hey, man, it was interesting, bro. Like, it was a few things back to back that you're right, man. Just stay open. Stay open and just keep experiencing out here, because a few things happened to me back to back, bro, and I was this close to like just regressing and being I'm cool to be by myself, do my own thing, but it was wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? I could feel then it was only wrong because the good was pulling me. A homie asked me to come out. My cousin tells me about something the other day. If I ignored the homie about going out, I found myself in a hole that I don't go out that day, I don't go out the next day, I probably missed the other shit, you feel me? And it's like, oh, look, you're doing it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You accept that path. Yeah. So I was like, fuck, you know what I'm saying? You know?
Yeah. That's right.
Love this conversation, fellas. It was great having you, Felix. You got to do it again, man.
Yeah, man. Just call me up anytime.
Yeah.
I don't know if they know if it's you or me there.
Shit, that's bad funny when your Rob got a twin. I was saying funny, I would have worn my.
You would have worn two.
Yeah, we would have all been triplets over here. Fucking Ninja
tripled up.
Yeah, Ninja Turtle.
How are they gonna know?
Right.
We all got the same. We all got the same nose and the beard. Yo, look at our wide ass noses.
They would have been like, "Yo, who's And they would, cultural mindfuck. They would have been like, is one Arabic? Is one Mexican? Is one like? They would have been trying to figure out like, who the
With
fuck is?
everything.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was
What's happening here?
yeah, one Cuban, one
This is a
Colombian.
gumbo.
And look at what we represent, right? I'm at the motherland, right? You got the modern day.
Back, listen, man.
We balance.
Nah, it's cool.
All
So,
perspectives.
who knows what next week we get into? But again, I think moving forward, this is awesome. Just make it again, thinking of Manuscript as like a discussion. I like to think of today also like a cool panel discussion. I think if we could bring more of this and more perspectives. See Jedi in the chat, man. Shout out to him. He had texted letting us know he was
Yeah,
locked
shout
in.
out to him.
So just keep as conversations and things keep coming up, because every week is always something. And as we said, this is a very complex conversation, which I do think is worth exploring because we're still evolving and still trying to understand it. Um, so I think every week this kind of conversation will always be relevant. So we'll be here, man.
I want to continue this next week and talk about dating with this, bro.
Yeah,
Dating with this energy, yeah, because I just want to
it's
think
kind of
about,
hard
because
because you have
I'm
two
just
men
thinking now
here
how
who
it
are
extends.
out the game a little bit.
No, exactly, yeah, yeah. But it's good because to get it inside, because to ask, like, right, we're talking about empathy,
Yeah.
right? And you as men trying to be better men and how hold yourself accountable. How do you communicate the moments where you don't feel like it's your moment to hold yourself accountable, when it's like their moment where it's like, I didn't do anything, like this is baby you're triggered, babe. I relate, you know what I'm saying, like, you know what I'm saying, like, how do you, like, damn, like, is it, do you always just take it on the chest?
How,
I fucked up.
how do you, I don't know what you're talking about.
He's like, I don't understand the question.
Yeah, I know. I understand the question.
No, yeah, I think he understood it.
I understand the question, but what you're saying? What are you saying though? Like, you're saying, like, how do you what? Yo, bro, listen. I don't know if I'm correct under this idea, but my parents have been married for 40 years. 40 together. They've been together 40 plus years when they were dating.
Pretty much, yeah.
How does my father communicate, yo, baby, you're tripping, to my mother?
I'm tripping.
Yeah.
No, bro, no, he does. You don't say nothing. You don't say nothing. And when he does decide to say something, he just knows for some odd reason that he's wrong. And that's the best way to just accept it.
That's crazy. I get
No. But seriously,
That's like classic marriage advice and shit,
Classic marriage shit. But
Yeah,
they're very beautiful. They're very beautiful. It's not like that. It's just funny. But I think that we can dive into that. I think there's just a lot, because it's different time eras, and the time eras alone create just what they're used to. Can't find the same thing over here. That's not how it works
at all.
But yeah, it is complicated. It is complex, and it should make for a good conversation too.
All right, y'all.
Love.
Well, with that, man, I appreciate you fellas again. That's one more hand clap for the crowd. We'll be signing off. If you could stay on the call for a bit, I'll just be checking off. That was our cue for the audience. Peace out.